Hi there. I'm just going to take you through a quick overview of the ServiceMax solution that Vinc is going to be implementing. Before I do that, I thought it'd be interesting to just introduce to you the fact that we're now part of a bigger portfolio within GE Digital. And so GE Digital's been transforming itself for quite some time now. Over the years, it's been enabling different roles within the business to be digitized. And so now ServiceMax is part of a bigger portfolio of products around IoT, particularly, and asset performance management. And within that portfolio, ServiceMax is proven to be the area around driving operational excellence for the different roles within the business. And that includes the technician, dispatcher, and manager. And so I thought it was quite a good slide to put up there to give you a kind of high-level view of where we sit within that big portfolio of products. And now we'll dip into the ServiceMax solution itself. So I'm going to take you through these key stages within a typical execution of a work order. So I'll give you a view of the creation of the job, dispatching, how we can see it in the mobile tool, and then access to some metrics, reports on those particular things, and then how we can expose that information to a customer community or portal, for want of a word. So if I drop into solution, so here we have a work order that's been generated actually as part of a maintenance plan within ServiceMax. So that maintenance plan is regularly generating work orders based on a time basis for particular bits of equipment or sites within our customer base. So as you can see here, this has also been entitled against a service contract. So that service contract allows us to track what work is available for service and what is covered by that service contract. Under that service contract, there is also an SLA in this particular case, so when we need to be on site, start the inspection and complete that particular inspection in this case. You'll also see throughout the demo these blue boxes, which are a way of us controlling the business process flow, either for the people in the back office or for the technician on their mobile tool, which you'll see a bit later. So this job's actually already been assigned, but what I'm going to do is just show you a little bit of a view of the dispatcher and how they manage and review those jobs once they've been assigned to people. And just on that point, I just want to cover off one important point while that's loading. Within ServiceMax, there is 4 methods of assigning resources within the solution. So at the bottom, we've got the manual process, call that a coffee grinder approach. The second process is kind of a rules engine, very simple rules. A job comes in of a certain type in a certain area, assign it to that technician, and they'll execute it in due turn. The third one is the interactive console, which we're going to see in a minute. And then the fourth one is an optimization engine where you take in thousands of work orders and hundreds of technicians, and you start to automatically assign them based on rules and constraints and so forth. And that's a much more in-depth kind of intelligent, and as you can see there, it's like a computer chip black box approach. But ultimately, they all require some interaction with dispatchers at some point, and also they ultimately notify the technician or partner technician of work that's been assigned to them. Come back into here. Yep, my dispatch console is being loaded up now. So you can see in here, this is the job that I've currently loaded the dispatch console from, but I can work in multiple queues here. So I can see jobs that have been raised, for example, maybe through an IoT, when Vinc might have boxes attached to some equipment, automatically raising work orders, and they can be reflected within ServiceMax. Any reactive ones will be appear in the emergency queue, and they can be viewed in that place as well. Added to that, I can see the agenda of a particular technician, and as you can see in here, the color coding sort of indicates the different types of jobs that have been allocated, but you can also see things such as meetings, maybe sickness or holiday that have been booked out in the engineer's diary as well. And if I just pick one of the technicians, for example, I can see their route for the day that's been planned out. So in this particular case, you can see the route for this particular guy here that's been planned out in the system. And if we look at the job here, we can zoom into that job on the system, remove all the other noise, and I can see that in here, and also see David's route for that particular day as well that's been assigned to him. So this has been assigned based on their skill sets and their availability and eligibility to do that particular job. So we've automatically assigned it to them. Come out here. That job will then notify the technician on their mobile device. And so I've got here in front of me, I'm using my iPad today. So I'll just maximize that up. I'm using my iPad today, but our mobile solution is available on iPad, Android and Windows Surface, and the nice thing about our solution is you configure it once and then the configuration and deployment is distributed across all mobile platforms, and you can interchange mobile platforms without needing to reconfigure the system. We call it a configure once, use anywhere strategy. And in addition to that, it's offline out of the box as well. So the entire process can be driven in an offline fashion. They don't need access to the internet or 3G, 4G connectivity. So within here I can see my agenda for the day. I can pick up that job that was put into my diary. As soon as I click on that particular job, I start to get a summary of that particular work order in front of me. In this particular case, it's a site-centric work order. It's in its initial review stage, and if I click on the inspection products on the left-hand side, I can see these are all the bits of equipment that I'm going to inspect and carry out certain checks on. On the right-hand side, we can drive the behaviour of the engineer. So we can say, we can allow the engineer to say, yep, I've started travel on this particular job. And so by hitting that, they'll notify the people within dispatch that they've started travel to that particular job. And then also, obviously, when they get on site, they can say that they're on site as well. The main activity that your inspectors are going to do is they're going to go through and carry out specific checklists. So under here, we've got these inspections that we can carry out. And so based on the certain stage of the work order that they're at, they can have different checklists presented to them. So because this is in the initial state, we've got the initial checklist that they need to carry out. So we'll just start a new one here. We'll add in the date, time that check's been done, and then there are various types of inspections or data collection points that they can do. It could be radio buttons like this. It might be words that they need to capture. They might need to describe the condition of the product. In this case, I could use the iPad itself. Product is quite faulty. And also use things such as checkboxes and so forth within there to capture data. Pick lists can reduce the amount of clicks that they need to do on particular things rather than having to write words. And once they've done that, they submit that. We can do an offline validation of the entries that are performed at that particular time, and we can also do some dynamic branching within the solution. So if they answer yes to question 1, they can be taken to question 3 or 4. Once they do that initial checklist, part of the business process has been set up within here that then the next particular type of inspection is presented to them for this particular piece of equipment. So in this particular case, it's a safety review checklist. And they go through that process over and over again until they get to the end of all of the different checks that they need to do for this particular job. To save time, I'm not going to go through all the individual ones. So once that's been done, we then need to produce some sort of inspection summary report. So in this particular implementation with ServiceMax, we're going to be using one of our partners, Drawloop, to generate sort of an output document that takes the conditions of the input and chooses what the output would be in that summary report. So I've done a very simple example of that information within here, but the whole configuration of that output is done through the partner Drawloop. So once that's done, we'll capture a signature. And that signature is time-stamped and with a watermark there. And we'll also get a technician signature as well. And once we've hit done, That document will generate a PDF version which can be emailed to the customer, but also sent, if need be, locally to a nearby AirPlay or Bluetooth printer. Some of the other actions that typically an engineer or technician will do whilst they're on site is they'll fill out a summary of the time that they spend on site and if they used any consumables or special bits of equipment. So what we'll do there is the work order debrief. So in here we can capture any feedback from the engineer. They may have even recognised an opportunity whilst on site, so they might have just done an acquisition, for example, and most people talk more to your inspectors and technicians than anyone else in your business. So if you can capture that information from the inspector whilst they're on site, you can feed that back into your Salesforce automation tool to drive additional revenue within your business. Also, I'll definitely track my labour. So in here you can see I've got the labour where my start and end time is covered within there, and any other additional description I might want to add to the work that I've carried out. Here I've captured my expenses around my gas, but it could be anything around hotels and so forth. And also here I've actually captured the special piece of equipment that I've used. So in this case, this multimeter is in my van stock. It's a special piece of equipment that has a PM every 6 months, and in this case I can see there by adding it to the service report, it's telling me when the next PM due is date. So this needs to be recalibrated in September. So this can ensure that you're making sure always your inspection equipment is calibrated and compliant. And then to add to that, I can go in and I can attach additional pictures and videos. So I might want to take an image from the camera or the library of pictures that I've already got within here and attach it to support what work I've done on site. Once I've done that, I save all of my items in there. And then typically what you do is a kind of visit report or a work order service report. And that's just really a summary of the things that you've carried out. And this allows the customer to sign off on it, which basically allows you to reduce the time outstanding to send an invoice to the customer. As soon as they complete this summary report, you can then send an invoice out to the customer. Oops, sorry, clicked on the wrong thing. So here's our summary report. This can be formatted how you like. You see here it's got a summary of the parts used, the travel and any other expenses in there. Customer's happy with it, so they sign off on that. And technician is also happy to close that particular job as well. Whilst the engineer's on site, they've also got access to all the other information that we hold about this particular customer. So while they're on site, they may want to know other bits of assets and locations that are managed by this particular customer, so they can have what's known as a tree view or an old install base view. So here this gives us a graphical view of all the equipment that is installed at that particular site that we're currently responsible for inspecting. And if I just remove the context of the work order, it will then show me all of those different places that we are responsible for inspecting and any equipment that's in those particular areas in here, so I can see them within there. We also have other concepts of being able to track equipment that's below a certain uptime. So if we need to allow the inspector to proactively go around and inspect equipment that's having a low uptime, we can do that as well. And you'll see here we've got the ability to add things such as attachments to different bits of equipment. So that could be manuals, process instructions and so forth at that particular level. And if we need to do an ad hoc work order at any level, we can use those blue buttons that were exposed before to drive a business process to create an ad hoc work order at any level as well. So that whole workflow engine that sits within ServiceMax can be exposed at any level and can drive behavior so that we can control the business process for doing that. Just as a quick summary at the bottom there, other areas of the application, engineer has the ability to search the solution, so they can search for customer accounts if they've got access. Any other installed equipment that's at that particular site, they can do a search for as well. They can either search by serial number, or they can search by using a barcode as well. So they can come in and execute a search here and use the barcode scanning capabilities of the tool to search by barcode. Next piece I just want to give you a quick summary on is come back into the solution. If I go to my dashboards, all of the information that's recorded within ServiceMax and all of the inspection data is reportable within ServiceMax. So you can see within here, these are all around the key metrics of our technicians and teams, around the first time to inspect, mean time to inspect, average on-site response time, mean time to complete, and the utilization of our engineers. All of this data I can drill into, and so I might want to have a look at my first time inspect rates and see which jobs have been successful and which ones haven't. And I can come in here and within a couple of clicks I can get down to the detail of the work order that's related to, and that's because all the information is captured within ServiceMax itself. And finally, what we have within the solution is the ability to expose the solution through a portal. So this is the ServiceMax customer community portal. It can be branded in any way that you like. And so within here I've done some quick branding myself, so you can see how we can get a summary of the services that we offer within the business, and also reviews from our customers are being exposed here. But you'll see also there's the ability to see the pricing. So these are opportunities for your current customers to get upgrades of service packages or additional contracts through this portal. And then you can see in here as well, the customer's got access to the work orders that are currently being planned for their site, any of the equipment that you're currently inspecting and servicing, and we could also expose those service reports and inspection reports through this portal as well. So it's really like a self-service area. Here. So just a quick summary of what we went through there. So we saw how a work order was quickly created using the maintenance engine over regular intervals. We're able to see the dispatch processes that are there, whether that's fully automatic or interactive. All of those capabilities are possible within the solution. Then you saw the mobile tool, how the digital worker can work using their mobile tool and update the job as they go through their day. We had access to key metrics reporting on the solution, and then also the ability to expose that kind of capability on a customer portal as well. So just as a summary of the capabilities sort of end to end of the platform, we've got capability to manage and inspect the install base. We've got a flexible contracts engine within there that allows you to cross-sell and upsell and add additional components to the contracts. Multiple dispatch and scheduling processes within the solution. An integrated mobility tool which works offline. Being able to link sales and service, so very key within the solution, being able to link sales and service, recognize opportunities in the field and feed them into your Salesforce automation tool, and then also to be able to expose some of that information through a customer community. Thank you very much.